talking The Mousetrap, also known as Mickey's Mousetrap. And this is directed by Jamie Bailey and written by Simon Phillips, who actually stars as our Mickey Mouse killer. Now, we should point out the reason why there is a Mickey Mouse slasher movie, much in the same way that Winnie the Pooh went into the public domain a couple of years ago, and anyone now is free to make properties about that said character. The same is now true of the original appearance of Mickey Mouse in Steamboat Willie. So you are allowed to make, early reference Mickey Mouse kind of stuff now. And this is the first one. This is the first movie that has come out of Canada with a Mickey Mouse horror idea. There are a few others that are due to come out over the next year or so we'll see how they do. But this is the first. So this is a film about a group of young adults as they are celebrating a birthday in a kind of amusement park, funhouse attraction where this particular girl works, and some of her friends come in after hours and sort of party in this kind of funhouse amusement park sort of style, kind of kids adventure park type thing. And there is the owner of this park is a fan of Mickey Mouse and collects various memorabilia, and he has this vintage Mickey Mouse mask that seems to be possessed, and it kind of he puts it on and becomes like a crazed killer with the ability to teleport, and is now stalking this group of young adults. What will happen? You have to watch the movie and find out. So let's discuss what I think works in this movie's favour. Now, we do have to kind of bear in mind this is a very low budget movie, so there are certain things that you have to kind of expectations that you have to have in check here, because it's clearly a very low budget film. But what does work? I mean, this movie at times is actually quite funny, and it's kind of meta. In some scenes, it's almost approaching Deadpool levels of meta-ness. In fact, the first thing you'll see is an opening scroll of text that is quite amusing. But there are a few kind of gags and a little kind of nod to popular culture, modern politics, and ideologies and things like that in the movie. This one does have a few kind of comedic moments in it that I do think are genuinely quite funny. The movie, to its credit, actually does some things that I think I complain a lot in horror movies. So we have a group of young adults, kids, whatever you want to call them, trapped in a building, and often where we've had this set up before, why aren't people trying the fire exits? Why aren't people trying to pull the fire alarm? Because that's what you would do if you were trapped in a building like this. And many horror movies don't address these things, and this one does, so I was actually pretty pleased with that. So there is that to go. The idea of a possessed Mickey Mouse mask means that Mickey Mouse as a character and a property exists in this world, as a kind of a Disney character. And when we see, this guy dressed up as in a Mickey Mouse mask, they refer to him as Mickey Mouse. So this is not like Mickey Mouse doesn't exist in this world. He is an existing IP, and we just have this situation where it's a possessed mask rather than kind of the origin of Mickey Mouse exactly. So it was a kind of a way to go which doesn't need too much backstory or anything like that. You can just kind of go straight into it. I think the idea of having this killer in this kind of amusement park with all these kind of rides and, picking off people that are in various rides like laser tag and a maze and virtual reality, things like that. It's kind of quite fun. And, this amusingly has this ability to kind of teleport, which doesn't really make any sense, to be honest, but, it gives the killer some kind of agency because he has this kind of supernatural sort of ability. And yeah, they've used like a retro, genuine kind of Mickey Mouse mask, I think, to give it this kind of, old-fashioned feel in regards to the look of the killer. So that was also pretty good. I actually have to say I quite liked our main girl as well, the girl whose birthday party it is. And there's okay, so what doesn't work? Let me just say the biggest thing for me is, and I don't really like to say this, but the acting is pretty bad. There's a couple like our main girl and the birthday girl who I think does a fairly good job. Maybe a couple of others, but like the girl who goes home early. But a lot of the cast here, I gotta be honest with you, are pretty poor actors, and it really makes the film feel very, very low budget. And it's also the way the dialogue is delivered. I felt the dialogue here was delivered in a way that feels a little unnatural. So there's quite often like pauses between like one line of dialogue and another, where it's almost the direction has been, we don't want you to talk over each other, because obviously we want to hear the dialogue, which I kind of understand, but it feels a little unnatural where they pause a little bit too much, and then wait, and then someone says the next line of dialogue, and then someone else pauses, and then they say another line of dialogue. So it kind of has this robotic kind of feel to it, the dialogue. And the other thing is, it makes the chemistry, this group of what we are led to believe as friends, really feel like they have no chemistry at all as a group of supposed friends, because they just don't feel like they are meshing naturally. The dialogue here feels so stilted. I mean, the words that they're saying, for the most part, are okay for a low-budget B movie, but it's just the delivery of them and the way that they've kind of, like I say, spaced out these kind of lines of dialogue to have, I assume, not any kind of crosstalk. And I think maybe a lot of the dialogue is ADR'd as well. But it just seems weirdly unnatural and makes the kind of like the chemistry of this group just feel totally kind of like not there. So the Mickey Mouse killer, I kind of like the idea in a way of a possessed mask in a world where the Mickey Mouse character exists, because it kind of gives you a fairly easy way to kind of latch on the fact that there is just this kind of thing happening. But we don't really know why. I mean, this is the boss of this amusement park, and he has this room which is in the amusement park with like a private cinema of all this Mickey Mouse memorabilia. But no one, especially the girl that works there, she doesn't reference it. So like, surely you would know that this room exists and has all this kind of memorabilia in there. So why wouldn't you just assume that, who is the killer? Could it be the guy who has this that particular retro mask in a cabinet? It's never kind of brought up. Why does this killer teleport? Don't know. He just does. I mean, it's like, that's a weird kind of Mickey Mouse power. Doesn't give us really any explanation about why this mask is possessed, what the reason is. You've just got to accept it. The Mickey Mouse character kind of talks like the Joker. And it's just like, again, it's like, I don't really know if that has much reverence to the Mickey Mouse mythos or character. It feels like the Joker, and it feels very ADR'd, these kind of lines of dialogue. And then the actual kills themselves are, with the exception of one, is somewhat kind of unspectacular. I mean, they're okay. It's, throats being slit, but there's nothing special outside of one, and some of them are actually kind of off screen. So the other thing I would say as well that I think was maybe not quite as a smarter decision here was to have the film broken up with interviews from the police talking to a survivor of this kind of massacre. And the problem is I think it breaks the tension. And I didn't really feel it served a purpose, really, outside of giving you some exposition. But it doesn't really have anything, there's no cap to that story. It just ends. So we have this kind of future scene where we got one survivor being interviewed by two police, and so what happened next? And then she kind of goes through the story. But because it's broken up, it kind of lets down any sort of tension and that sort of stuff. And it didn't need to be there. I didn't think it needed to be there. Maybe that was reshoots to kind of pad out the running time, I'm not sure. But I felt like all it did was, you know, as I say, break up the tension. It's not like a complicated story. You don't need lots of exposition, to be brutally honest. So outside of the actual why is this mask possessed, and we don't know, doesn't actually ever mention that. And then we have this teleporting power, and it's literally like where they just cut in, and he's cut the movie and he's walked off screen and then started to film again. So it looks real cheap, and they could have had like a puff of smoke or something to make it look a little more interesting. Again, this is probably a budgetary reason. I think this movie has some fun elements, to be honest. It's, if you like low budget slasher films, I mean, this is kind of more of the same, to be honest. I would have liked more context about the backstory of this possession and how he's able to teleport and the reason why he's doing this, but we don't get any of that. So to me, it's a little bit of a subpar movie without being completely terrible. I'll give this one a 4 out of 10. If you're a low budget slasher fan, check it out. It's kind of similar to like Winnie the Pooh movie, but it isn't anything special. And I think this was more concerned about being first rather than best. So yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Please leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.